Good afternoon. All right. I'm Ryan Zuderman, Chief of Police for the Lynchburg Police Department. It's my honor and privilege to welcome everyone here today for our new officer swearing-in ceremony. I want to thank you for joining us for this special occasion. I'm so glad that we're able to be together again. I'm sure all of you are. How many people is the first time they've been out in some type of a group like this of this large? A few of us, right? Absolutely. It's been a tough last year to 18 months, and just so grateful we can be in person to celebrate the 8 new officers as they begin their careers today. I want to remind you that in case you want to watch this later on, we are streaming this event live on our Facebook page, so please feel free to go there and share that with other loved ones or family members that can't be here today. At this time, we'll now have our new officers join us. All right, you may all be seated. Thank you. So the others survived the first test. No one tripped coming in, so that's good. We're all in one piece. I'm very proud to be a member of the Lynchburg Police Department. The LPD has been a part of this community for 216 years. Over these more than 2 centuries, thousands of women and men of the LPD have dedicated themselves to making our community a great place to live, work, and play. Several of those who came before these officers are here today. At this time, I'd ask all LPD retirees and former officers, please stand to be recognized. Thank you. We are grateful for your service and example. None of us would be where we are without people like you taking the time to mentor and develop us when we were new officers. I often joke with Chief Bennett, who's here today, that he probably never in a million years thought I'd be standing here as a police chief, right? He probably thought I'd be standing somewhere else maybe after many years, but it's people like all of you. It's people like all of you that got us here where we need to be. Mark Wood, I appreciate you being here, Mark. Thank you. And I won't say many stories on Mark because he's probably got more stories about me. So I'll just many midnight shifts together back in my early career, and Mark was the one that would grab me by the back of the collar when I was getting ready to do something really, really stupid. So I appreciate that, Mark. I'm confident that the 8 women and men you see in front of you today will help continue all of your legacy for many years to come. To our new officers, you're about to officially join us and become a part of the LPD family. Your choice to enter this profession at a time unlike any other in our history speaks to your commitment to service and your dedication to those in our community. As you take your oath of office today, you are pledging to partner with and protect every individual in our community, regardless of race, gender, or socioeconomic status. You must always remember to treat everyone you meet in a manner that shows respect, professionalism, and how you would want your loved ones treated. You are wearing the uniform of the LPD because you have earned it. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. Through your demonstrated integrity, hard work, and dedication, you have earned the privilege to protect and serve our great community. Never forget that you are the chosen few who get the honor of wearing this badge. Don't ever take that lightly. Your actions will either honor the men and women that came before you, or your actions will bring discredit to their sacrifice. At this time, I'd ask Captain Nick Leger to come forward for our salute to the flag.
Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Captain Leger. At this time, I'd ask LPD Chaplain Jim Whitaker to come forward with our invocation.
Good morning. Smile. It's okay to smile. This day has finally come. Okay. I want to pray blessing over what we're about to do here today. Most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we thank you that today has finally come for these new officers. We thank you for them. We thank you for their lives. We thank you that they are, in fact, chosen. You have chosen them, and this department has chosen them, and that's very important. I pray over this service, this swearing in, as we recognize and honor them, that those of us who will stand here will choose our words carefully, because what we say to these 8 new officers is important. And I pray that you would open their ears that they might hear with your ears what's important, what's being said today. Bless them, bless their families, and bless this swearing-in ceremony, we pray. In your precious name, amen.
Thank you, Jim. This time I'd ask Deputy Chief Ken Edwards to come forward for introduction and recognition of staff and special guests.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out for this special occasion today. Before I begin introducing our staff and special guests, I'll just mention the members of our staff who are not in attendance today. Deputy Chief Mark Jameson with the Investigations and Administration Bureau, and Captain Daniel Meehan. He is our Captain of Investigations Bureau. They're both out of town and unable to be here, but I'm sure they're here in spirit with us. To my far right is Captain Nick Leger. He is Captain of the Administrative Bureau. Captain Dan Black, just raise your hand. Captain Dan Black, he's Captain of Field Operations Bureau 1. We have 2 Field Operations Bureaus. He's FOB 1 Captain. Captain Tim Clements, FOB Bureau Captain of number 2. On the Chief's left, we have Todd Swisher, that many of us know is retired Deputy Chief with the Lynchburg Police Department. He's currently the Honorable Todd Swisher of Lynchburg City Circuit Court. Thank you, sir. We have retired police officer LPD Sandra Wooldridge with us here today. I'm not going to steal the Chief's thunder about that, so more to come with Sandra. And then again, you've met our chaplain, Jim Whitaker. Thank you for being here. And before I go into the dangerous waters of recognizing special guests and leave someone out, I'm just going to take a moment to address our 8 new officers. Congratulations. The graduation ceremony was different last night and being outside, but that was a great ceremony. And congratulations on graduating from Basic Class 97. And we look forward to you joining us down at the PD this afternoon. You had a number of speakers last night out there at the ceremony, but one in particular that struck home with me was Harvey Powers, the retired Richmond captain, and the wisdom that he passed on to you all, an acknowledgement of when he was a younger officer, how he really didn't listen to the older officers with more experience, but he realizes now that he should have, and he wanted to convey that to you all. And there were 3 points that he mentioned that I'll just go over briefly because it absolutely applies across the board with your academy class, with all the agencies represented, but absolutely here in Lynchburg. And the one point he made was get to know the people you are policing. And he was absolutely spot on with that, in that you're going to see people when they're in crisis, when they're having a really bad day, because no one calls 911 to just tell us they're having a good day and everything's okay. So it's so important to get to know people as much as you can and have that baseline, because it will help you in those moments when they're in crisis, when you're able to actually know them a little better and you get to know your community. Second point he made was know your history and how today's policing is affected by that. And he took you through historically what policing has entailed to include enforcement of bad laws over the years. The Lynchburg Police Department's been around since 1805. There's no question that we have been asked and we have been sworn to enforce bad laws in different times. And he went through the Jim Crow era. And when you go out and start your career here with the Lynchburg Police Department, you're not only going to encounter people who maybe have personally gone through segregation, but they may be 1 or 2 generations away from the Jim Crow era, and you just need to be mindful of that as you, and again, that goes back to point number 1 of getting to know people. And then the last thing he mentioned was that how you do your job is more important than the outcome of your decision, and that is absolutely true, in that whatever you say or do, people are going to remember how you said it and how you treated them. So always be professional, always be respectful, and you will have a successful career and within the department and in the city as well. So congratulations, and I'll move on to the special guests that we have today. And I know you're in uniform, it's a little difficult, but if you can look back and see the support that you have here in the room today as I call out the names. And as I call out the names, you would just raise your hand so they can take a look and make eye contact with you. We have Sheriff Don Sloan, Lynchburg City Sheriff's Office. Next to him is Chief Deputy Tommy Carter with Lynchburg Sheriff's Office. From City Council, we have Mayor Mary Jane Dolan, City Councilman Chris Feraldi, he's over here. Let's see, Fire Chief Greg Wormser, Tex. We also have, again, Sandra Wooldridge, retired LPD officer, Deputy Chief Todd Swisher, Colonel Chuck Bennett, former Chief of Police of Lynchburg Police Department, and also Officer Mark Wood. Absolutely, I echo everything the Chief said. Mark, thank you. You were there for us many times, and we maybe caused you to lose some of your hair, and I understand that these days as well. So, and finally, Mr. Ron Staten, he's director of Central Virginia Criminal Justice Academy. Ron, I don't know who your contacts are, but the weather you ordered up last night, months in advance, that was an incredible ceremony and good weather last night. So, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Edwards. This is one of the things, if you're making sure you're getting the photo, this might be a time you want to get your cameras ready, family and friends. So the next portion of our ceremony is the actual swearing in of our new officers. This will be done by our circuit court clerk, K. Todd Swisher. And as you heard Deputy Chief Edwards say, some of the gray hairs probably that Todd has, I will take credit for. It's definitely over my career. But Todd spent over 26 years in the Lynchburg Police Department, retiring as a deputy chief. He then decided he would go at the ripe age of 50 and get his doctorate. So I should probably refer to him as Dr. Todd Swisher, I think. And then he wasn't done there. He decided he'd go and continue to serve our community as our circuit court clerk. So we're just grateful to not just have a ceremony where we can swear some in, but there's some meaning here. You're being sworn in by someone who wore the same badge and same uniform that you're wearing now. And that goes to the legacy of this department. So at this time, it's my honor to ask the Honorable K. Todd Swisher, clerk of the circuit court, to come forward and administer our oath of office.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that. Well, good afternoon. It is my distinct pleasure to be here today and offer my congratulations to the 8 newest members of the Lynchburg Police Department. What an impressive group you are. I'm really excited for you. You're now a part of a great organization that is truly committed to doing things the right way. And as such, you're going to have a tremendous opportunity and a tremendous responsibility to impact your community in a positive way, in a way that only those who have served before you and those who serve with you will truly know and fully appreciate. And I'm confident you will seize that opportunity and do great things. So with that, let's administer your oath. If you please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
all the duties
incumbent upon me
as
as a police officer for the city of Lynchburg,
as a police officer for the city of Lynchburg,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
You may be seated. Thank you. Well done. Congratulations.
Next portion of our ceremony is a presentation of the officer's gun and badge. It's a Lynchburg Police Department tradition to formally present our newly sworn officers with their sidearm and their badge. As a part of this ceremony, we have members of the community come forward to pin on the officers' badges for the first time. This badge is a symbol of the trust that our community is extending to the 8 of you. Again, don't ever forget that. It's also a legacy of the 216 years of law enforcement service that has been worn by those who came before you and is now being passed down to each of you. Never betray the trust that has been given to you by our community or by those who have worn this badge before you. The men and women who wore these badges are part of the history of this department, and you are now continuing that very important work. With today's ceremony, we are continuing our tradition that recognizes an officer who previously wore your badge. We'll give you more information about the history of each one of those when we present you with your badge. So at this time, we're going to shift a little bit. Myself, Deputy Chief Edwards, will come out here to present you with your badge and gun, and Captain Black and Captain Clemens will read a bio of those officers as we present those. I can have Officer Brittany Carr come forward, please. Officer Carr will be receiving badge 225. This badge was worn from 1979 by Andy Vest, who served until 2010, 31 years with the Lynchburg Police Department. Andy retired as a deputy chief. He held various assignments throughout his career at the police department. And the trait that we want to pass along to you with this badge is his dedication.
Brittany was born and raised in Hampton Township, New Jersey. She is currently pursuing her bachelor's degree in cybersecurity through American Military University. She has made the President's List 6 times and also joined the Golden Key International Honor Society, the National Society of Collegiate Scholars, the Society for Collegiate Leadership and Achievement, and the Order of the Sword and Shield National Honor Society. Before joining the Lynchburg Police Department, Brittany worked for the Sussex County Sheriff's Office in New Jersey as a public safety telecommunicator. There she received the Grand Cordon Award and was a 4-time recipient of the Telecommunicator of the Month and had 3 life-saving CPR awards. Brittany was also a volunteer emergency medical responder for the Blue Ridge Rescue Squad out of Frankfort, New Jersey for over 2 years. In her spare time, Brittany enjoys writing, cooking, baking, and spoiling her 3 cats. Brittany's father, Bob, will be pinning her badge today. And I present Officer Brittany Carr.
You don't want to make a frame actually without pins. Would you like to say anything, young lady? The floor is yours.
I wanted to thank everybody at LPD, especially Officer Cottrell, for taking the time to get to know me, even though I'm initially from New Jersey, and for everybody at the command staff who allowed me the opportunity to come down here and pursue my dream career. And also want to thank my parents for supporting me from 400 miles away. Thank you.
If I could have Officer Jessica Campbell come forward, please. Jessica will be receiving badge number 185. This badge was worn by Officer Joe Hedges, who served the LPD from 1977 until 2008. Again, 31 years of service, much like the previous officer I mentioned. Joe spent many years in patrol. He spent some time at our information desk, or lockup, I believe, as it was called back then, right, Mark? and the last several years of his career as a canine handler. Joe is kind of near and dear to me. I worked many years as a canine handler with Joe, and when Mark stopped being the guy to grab me by the back of the collar, Joe kind of took over that responsibility to make sure I didn't do anything foolish. So the trait that we're going to pass along to you with this badge is Joe's willingness to help others and never worry about who got credit for it.
Jessica was born in Lynchburg and raised in Rustburg. She graduated from Brookfield High School as a member of the National Honor Society. She also attended the dual-enrolled program at Central Virginia Community College her senior year for nursing. She earned a Health Science II Career Studies certificate and also became an emergency medical technician before graduating high school. Jessica worked at Central Health as an EMT from 2017 to 2019 prior to her employment at the Lynchburg Police Department. Jessica is supported by her boyfriend, Daniel, who is a deputy for Amherst County Sheriff's Office, and their 2 children, Cheyenne, who is 11, and John, who just turned 3. Jessica and her family are active church members of Thomas Road Baptist Church, and on her days off, her and her family love to travel and do anything together. Jessica's father, Troy Burns, will be pinning her badge today, and Troy recently retired after almost 28 years of service with the Lynchburg Fire Department. And I present Officer Jessica Campbell.
I have a lot of people to thank today. I've been through here for a while. But first, I want to thank personnel and recruiting unit. You stick with me when I need it the most, and I really appreciate that. Same with the chief and the whole command staff. You always checked up on me, and you're always there for me and gave me wonderful advice when I really needed it, and I really appreciate it. Mostly I'm thankful for my family as well, especially my 2 kids. Like they said last night, this is your fault. I'm doing this for y'all to make this community better. So thank you everyone for coming out to support. Thank you.
And for family members worrying about if you can get the badge pinned down right, Troy had a little bit of an advantage there. He's probably done that a few times in his past, so there's no pressure. This time I'd ask Officer Tyler Dickman to come forward. So the badge Tyler will be receiving was worn by retired Lieutenant Ernest Remo Williams, badge number 125. Remo served the LPD from 1984 to 2012, 28 years of service. Tragically, shortly after retiring, he succumbed to an illness and is no longer with us. But I can't think of somebody in my career that I looked up more to for how to make sure I was safe, how to make sure I looked after people, and just being a consummate professional. He spent the majority of his career in patrol and was probably most proud to be a member of our tactical unit, where he spent, again, probably all but a couple of years of his career. Was a great leader on that unit and somebody you always felt comfortable with when they showed up on a call. So with this badge, we pass along his leadership and his preparedness.
Tyler was born and raised in a small town in upstate New York. He received a bachelor's degree in Homeland Security at SUNY Canton. Tyler graduated with a spot on the president's list for having a GPA greater than 3.75. With having that great honor, Tyler's last semester of college was spent interning at a local county sheriff's office near his hometown. The knowledge and experience Tyler received at the sheriff's office greatly influenced his decision to become a police officer. After taking a trip to Virginia while visiting his brother, Tyler fell in love with the views and endless mountains and the southern hospitality. He then chose to make the big leap and start his new life in Lynchburg. Tyler was gifted the opportunity to be part of the Lynchburg Police Department. Tyler met his girlfriend, Taya Harrington, also from Tyler's hometown, in the beginning of high school. Tyler's mom and Taya's mom, both registered nurses, worked night shift together at the hospital. Their families grew very close, and this is what rooted their relationship almost 9 years ago. Today, Tyler and Taya live in Lynchburg together. In his free time, Tyler enjoys golfing and spending time with his friends and family, and Taya pinned his badge on today. I present Officer Tyler Dickman.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to all the LPD staff for giving a guy from upstate New York a chance. It means a lot. Just want to thank all my family and friends. Couldn't do it without you guys and everyone else that's here. We all really need your support along these last 6 months, so we appreciate it. Thank you.
I may have had a leg up because I'm from upstate New York too, so I need occasionally someone to surround me, right? Next, I'd like Officer Shane Evans to come forward. Shane will be receiving badge 201. This badge was worn by Officer James Goggins from 2017 to 2020. Although only 3 years of service, Officer Goggins was an incredible man and still is. He unfortunately had to retire, and you'll hear more of this theme here in a little bit, but he was working a traffic accident during a tornado we had a few years ago, and out directing traffic was struck by a vehicle. Unfortunately, had to medically retire because of that, but I can tell you, you will not find a more positive person in this world. And his perseverance throughout that, the only guy I can know, and this is, I'm not making this up, myself and Deputy Chief Jameson were out that night dealing with all the things. We went over there together. It was raining so hard I couldn't see the end of the hood of my vehicle. James had been struck. He was laying in the middle of the road. We get there relatively quickly, and I said, "James, are you okay?" And the first words out of his mouth were, "Sir, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And if you know James, he was apologizing for getting hit by a car. You would not find a nicer man around. So we're going to pass along with this badge from James, his perseverance and his positive attitude.
Shane was born in Lynchburg, Virginia, and raised in Bedford. Shane graduated from Jefferson Forest High School in 2017 and joined the Marine Corps Reserves. While in the reserve, Shane went to Japan for a year as part of a unit deployment program. Once he returned, he started at Framatome, where he worked for a year before joining us at the Lynchburg Police Department. Shane is married to Emily Evans, and on his time off, Shane helps coach Little League Baseball with his father-in-law, Kenneth Selmer, and rides bikes with his father, Scott. And Shane was pinned today by his mother, Sarah. I present Officer Shane Evans.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to start with thanking the command staff and all the support that they give us throughout our entire time during the academy. I would also like to thank all of my family, family-in-laws, and my extended family as well. Really couldn't have done it without anybody that isn't here today. Thank you.
This time I'd ask Officer Cheyenne Kirkland to come forward. The badge Cheyenne will be receiving is badge 187. This badge was worn from 1981 to 2012 by Officer Jack Phelps. He spent 31 years. Again, you hear all of these numbers, right? These folks spent a lifetime at the LPD. During his time, he spent in patrol. He spent time at our information desk and in our traffic safety unit. And the trait I want to pass along from Jack is his consistency and his kindness.
Cheyenne was born and raised in Lynchburg, Virginia. In 2013, she went to Ferrum College in Franklin County to study criminology and psychology. During her second year at Ferrum, she enlisted in the U.S. Army National Guard as a CBRN specialist. She still currently serves with the 229th Chemical Company in Rocky Mount, Virginia. When she returned from her initial entry training in August 2016, instead of returning to college, she began her career in law enforcement with the Western Virginia Regional Jail in Salem. She worked at the regional jail for 2.5 years as a correctional officer before switching to Botetourt County Sheriff's Office, where she was a deputy in the jail. September marks her 5th year in law enforcement and her 6th year in the Army. Cheyenne is continuing the family tradition of serving in law enforcement, following in her father and grandmother's footsteps. Cheyenne's father, James, was a deputy with Bedford for 19 years and is now a Virginia State Trooper, and her grandmother, Deborah, is a former LPD officer. Cheyenne is a proud mother of Abram, who is 2. Miss Deborah pinned her badge today, who is a grandmother. Her badge number was 186, and Cheyenne's is 187. So I present to you Officer Cheyenne Kirkland.
I just want to say thanks to the command staff of LPD for giving me the opportunity to follow in my family's footsteps. Thanks to my family for helping me with my monster of a 2-year-old for the last 6 months. And thanks to Sergeant Burgess and Officer Cottrell for being there to get us through. So, thank y'all.
Pretty neat to have 3 generations of law enforcement, right, in one room. I've known James for many years, and a great guy, and the apple didn't fall too far from the tree, I don't think. And Deborah, thank you for being here as well. That's just a really, really neat thing to have you here, and thank you for your service to the LPD as well. This time I'd ask Officer Brian Orrick to come forward. Brian will be receiving badge 196. Which I didn't plan this, to be honest with you, but that badge was worn from January 14th of 1976 to April 30th of 2005 by Mark Wood, who I already mentioned in the back there. So for 29 years of service to the LPD, and then like many other cops, he hadn't had quite enough, I guess, so he went and worked for our local city sheriff for several years as well. But Mark, you've already heard me say a lot about Mark, but Mark served in patrol as a supervisor for many years and at our information desk. And Mark, one of the things that Mark taught me, in addition to all the other things that he kept me from doing, was that it's okay to tell people no sometimes. And sometimes we just need to make sure folks understand what we're here to do and why we're here. But Mark, one of the traits that I absolutely want to pass along to you with this badge from Mark is he always looked out for fellow officers. I remember a call, and Mark, you'll remember this one, on Charlotte Street at about 4 o'clock in the morning one night. We had about 10 officers working, and we had a party kind of unload from a house that had a whole bunch of very intoxicated folks, and we were very, very outnumbered. And I remember Mark showing up on the scene, and he was just kind of that older, kind of grizzlied, experienced cop that you knew when they showed up, everything was going to be okay, and they were going to look out for you. So we pass along Mark's ability to look out for fellow officers.
Brian was born in Fredericksburg, Virginia. He moved to Nelson County with his family, where he graduated from high school. Brian went on to pursue a degree in criminology with a minor in psychology from the University of Lynchburg. He completed a summer internship at the Nelson County Sheriff's Office and then graduated with honors from the University of Lynchburg. Brian has served as Sunday school teacher at Woodland Baptist Church. He's also the worship leader and guitarist for the worship team at his church. Brian's stepdad, Jay Fines, pinned on his badge. And I present to you Officer Brian Orrick.
Well, first, I just got to thank my family for all their support, all that they've done for me to encourage me and to inspire me down this road and this path. And then I have to thank the command staff for all their support as well in this process. And I just hope to live up to the legacy. And yeah, thank you.
So Mark's going to be watching you, just so you know, wearing his badge, right? He's seen you in person, so he's going to be watching you. Next, I'd ask Officer Logan Skillman to come forward. So the badge Logan will be receiving is badge 251. This badge was worn by Nick Barb from 2010 to 2020 for 10 years. Nick worked in patrol, he worked as a canine handler, and as a sergeant in both patrol and our vice unit. And the trait I want to pass along to you from Nick is his professionalism.
Logan was born and raised in Sacramento, California. In 2014, he came to Lynchburg to attend Liberty University, where he received a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, homeland security with a minor in sociology, as well as a master's degree in public policy. During the summers of 2015 and 16, Logan moved to Maryland to serve with the Ocean City Police Department as a public safety aide. In 2018, he joined the Blue Ridge Regional Jail Authority and became a jail officer with the Lynchburg Adult Detention Center. While finishing his master's degree, he gained employment with LU as a professional academic advisor for the Helm School of Government and the School of Behavioral Sciences, where he counseled college freshmen and sophomores on navigating their classes. Logan was then hired by the LPD in October of 20, and he attends church at Heritage Baptist Church. He enjoys hiking, playing sports, shooting, and being outdoors. Logan is the first member of his family to join law enforcement and wants to thank his mom, dad, and sister for their constant love and support throughout his life as he pursues this goal. Logan's mother, Bridget, has just finished pinning on his badge today. So I'd like to introduce Officer Logan Skillman.
Well, first off, I do want to thank the command staff, Officer Cottrell, Sergeant Burgess for hiring me, also Lieutenant Smith, who's not here today. I appreciate you guys giving me a chance. As Tyler mentioned, he thanked you for hiring a guy from New York. I'm from California, so I appreciate you guys trusting a guy from California. So thank you to all you guys, my fellow recruits. It definitely was a ride with you guys through this academy. Couldn't have done it without each of you guys, and I look forward to getting out on the road with each of you guys. And thank you to my family as well. Love you guys.
You almost forgot the most important one. I'm just telling you. All right? I'm just telling you. All right. He also has the best looking mustache of anybody up here, just so you know. So, excellent. All right. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to ask Officer Aaron Wardlow to come forward. Officer Wardlow will be receiving badge 163. This badge was worn from 1988 to 2002 for 14 years by Michael McKinney. Mike spent time in our patrol function and is a vice detective. He actually now works in community development for the city here. So he's not given up his public service, it's just in a different form. The traits I'd like to pass along to you with this badge from Mike is his calmness and his ability to communicate with everyone.
Aaron is from Roanoke, Virginia. He received a Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice with academic minors in business and military leadership from LU. Aaron enlisted in the Virginia National Guard as an MP in 2014. He attended LU from 2016 to 2020, where he met his wife, Emma, and decided to call Lynchburg home. Both are committed to careers of service to the community. Aaron commissioned from Liberty ROTC as an engineer officer in the Virginia National Guard and certified as an EMT last year. Aaron enjoys learning new skills. On his off time, Aaron enjoys outdoors, fishing, and playing video games along with his wife, Emma. Aaron's father, Robert, has served in law enforcement for 26 years, has also served as a role model and mentor throughout his life. He is pinned on Aaron's badge, and I present to you Officer Aaron Wardlow.
I want to first thank the leadership of LPD. I'm really grateful to be here, have this opportunity to serve the community. I want to thank my classmates. We watched each other's back throughout the entire academy. It's been a privilege to train and work with you guys. I want to thank my family. I want to thank my wife, Emma, for her love and support. Without her, I wouldn't be here. And she's training as we speak at the police academy. And I want to thank my father for being a voice of advice and mentorship. And I want to thank my parents for modeling the type of person I want to be. Thank you.
So for those of you who attended the ceremony last night, you noticed none of the students that came on stage said a word, right? Here we don't give them a choice. We just told them, you've got to say something. But let's give all of them one more round of applause. one of the other traditions that we have here is administering the oath of honor to all of our new officers. And this is something that's very special to us for a lot of different reasons. In 2000, the International Association of Chiefs of Police developed the Law Enforcement Oath of Honor as a means of formally communicating and reinforcing the critical importance of right and honorable action within this profession. In fact, our very own Chuck Bennett that you've heard about was on the committee that actually developed and established this oath of honor. So thank you, Chuck, for your work on that. We include this important oath as a part of each swearing-in ceremony. For our new officers, this serves to ensure you understand the monumental task you are about to undertake. For our current and retired officers, this serves to remind us of why we chose this profession. Part of this tradition includes having a former officer deliver this oath of honor. They are literally passing the torch to you. It's my honor to have with us today retired Officer Sandra Wooldridge. You'll hear from her in just a minute. She served with the LPD from October 31st, 1977 until April 18th, 1984. During her 7 years with the department, she was a dedicated employee who was well thought of by all of her fellow officers. In fact, when we were doing a little bit of research and talking to a few folks that worked with Sandra, we were given a nickname, and I checked with her and asked if it was okay to say this nickname before I bring it up, but she was respectfully referred to as Sugar Bear. And she can explain if she wants to where that name came from when she comes up. But Sandra's commitment to our community was unfortunately cut short, and as was her law enforcement career, when she was struck by a vehicle as she was out on Route 29 working a disabled vehicle on the side of the road. However, Sandra's positive attitude was and is an example for all of us to follow. Sandra comes to a lot of our events and ceremonies, and I don't know that I've not seen her without a smile on her face, despite what she's been through. So at this time, I'm humbled to ask Sandra to come forward to share a few words and deliver your oath of honor. Thank you.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate this. I am so honored to be here today with these new officers, some old officers, and now their families and friends. Unfortunately, as Chief stated, my career was cut very short. I loved what I did in patrol. It was my lifelong dream of being a police officer. It got cut short, but I'm still here. At this point in time, I would like to invite every sworn officer present, current and retired, to stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me the Law Enforcement Oath of Honor. Also, I would like to ask Mark Wood, would you come up here, please? A little background on Mark. We worked together. One night, and a lot of y'all probably don't know this, there was a bowling alley in the lower level of the Pittman Plaza. I was dispatched there on a disturbance call. And let me tell you, you always think you have everything under control. Doesn't always work that way. All of a sudden, the guy did a quick roundabout, kicked me in the chest, took off running. As I'm running after him, I radioed for help. Mark is the one that showed up. Needless to say, we didn't have to chase him very far. We caught him. He went to jail for quite a bit. Again, I'm honored to have Mark here with me to do the oath of office.
Absolutely.
Thank you, dear.
I love you, girl.
I love you too. Thank you, Mark.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
for coming. On my honor, I will never betray my badge. My integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always uphold the Constitution, the community, and the agency I serve. So help me God. bless each of you. I hope you enjoy and learn a lot, have a lifelong career. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra. That makes this ceremony so much more important and so much more special, and I hope all of you appreciate that. All members of the LPD are a part of the fabric of our city, and these 8 new officers are no exception. Joining the LPD today, as you've heard, are an emergency medical technician, a 4-time recipient of Telecommunicator of the Month, a golfer, a Little League baseball coach, a 3rd-generation member of law enforcement, a Sunday school teacher, an academic advisor, and a National Guard engineer officer. They are mothers, brothers, sisters, daughters, and sons. They are you. They are members of our community. You all have shown a dedication to service throughout your lives, and you have now joined one of the most honorable professions in the world that will allow you to serve our great city every day. This type of work is truly a calling, more so now than ever. The past 6 months have prepared you for your new roles. You are well trained, you're well equipped, and you have over 200 members of the LPD looking out for you. And when I say past 6 months, some of you were thinking, oh, it was a little longer than that. What I haven't told you about this group, and even for the ones that was 6 months, it probably seemed like a lot longer, but 3 of these officers came from previous academy classes that had to be bumped into this class because of COVID issues and injury issues. And all 3 of them showed the perseverance to work through their individual challenges to make sure they were here today. So we are grateful for them. In this profession, you will never stop learning. You just heard Sandra say exactly that. When you need help, ask for it, and then most importantly, listen. There are a lot of wise, old or older than you maybe, staff members here, both professional staff and sworn, that are here to help you with anything you need. You just need to ask. They will guide you with their real-world experience and make sure you transition into your new roles. Building relationships in our community is critical to your success as an officer and critical to our success as a police department. You heard last night from retired Captain Powers, you heard today from Deputy Chief Edwards, but you have got to get to know the residents of this community, and that's not on a 911 call. So it's really simple. I challenge you to introduce yourself to one person you don't know in this community each shift you work. Just one. You're gonna work 12-hour shifts. I promise you in a 12-hour time period, you will find time to introduce yourself to at least one person you don't know. If you were to do that, you'd meet 180 new people every year. I hope you stay here for a 25-year career, because if you do, you would have met 4,500 new people in our community that you didn't know by simply introducing yourself to one person each shift that you don't know. So that's my challenge to you. Just as challenging, remain positive. It sounds simple, it really does, but it can be hard to do in this line of work. You will see people at the worst of their worst. You will see people dealing with terrible, horrible things. But every day when you end your shift, please remember the good. You can always find that, I promise you. You have many roles and responsibilities at the PD. However, my first and most important expectation of you, and listen to this clearly, is you go home safe every single night. Be professional, be proud to wear this uniform and this badge. To our new officers' families, we thank you for being here today. The Lynchburg Police Department is a family. You are now a part of our LPD family. We are here to support you in any way we can. At this time, I'd ask all family members of the officers that are here today to please stand to be recognized. Thank you. None of these women or men got here today without all of you. All of you have played some role in their lives to get them here. And as tough of a job as it is to be a police officer in America today, the only tougher job that exists is being a family member of one of these officers. Don't forget that. Make sure you communicate with them. Officers, make sure you communicate with them. Don't just discard them because you got here where you want to be now and think you're on your own, right? My mama still yells at me when I do bad things, okay? So I'm sure your parents may do the same. But thank you all for your support of these young men and women. We sincerely appreciate it. In closing, congratulations. Remember, you're here to serve our community. You're their partners. You are their protectors. Your role in our society today is more critical than it has ever been before. I know it is easy to see what is going on in our country and to get discouraged, but I am encouraged by all of you. You are all going to help carry our department forward as we continue to serve our community. Please, no matter what you do, be safe. So at this time, I'm going to ask Chaplain Whitaker to come back forward for our benediction, and then I'll have a quick statement at the end, and then we will move you upstairs for a reception. So, Chaplain Whitaker.
Thank you, sir. Benediction usually means prayer, and we'll have that in just a minute. Again, congratulations. Some of you have peeped at your badge. Take hold of it and look at it right now. It's real. It's yours. But it's something that you need to honor. I am your chaplain. There's two of us. We make ourselves available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 or 366 days a year. Do not hesitate to call us. If you have an issue, if you have something going on, if you've been through a tough call, if you need assistance with a death notification, or anything else, it really doesn't matter what the topic is, call us. The other thing is, if I waited for you to call me, I wouldn't have much to do. But you will see me on the street. I'm Unit 18, you'll hear me on the radio. I will show up to calls. And I do that because I care for you, each one of you. And I'm very proud of each one of you. We have sworn in a very unique group of individuals today. And so, again, welcome to our family. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Very important scripture. Law enforcement is not easy, and it's harder in these days and times. Your success is defined by your faith, by your family, and by your values. I'm not going to give a 3-point sermon here that's going to take 20 or 30 minutes. But faith, your faith tradition is extremely important. Whatever that may be, take it with you. It's ingrained in you. Hold on to your faith tightly. You will still need to be guided by your faith every day. Family. Your family's here today. You've learned a lot because of your family. Your character is ingrained in you by your family because of what they have taught you to get you to this point in your life. Integrity has been taught to you by your family. That's one of the reasons you're here. It's because of your character, by your trust and your integrity. Hold on to that. Your family is expanding all the time. I've been all over the world. I shouldn't say that. I've been in a lot of places in the world. Everywhere I go, if I see a police officer, regardless of what country it's in, who they may be serving with, I always approach them and introduce myself to them. They're part of our family. Anywhere you go in this country and you see another police officer, they're a part of your family. Important to remember, you're never alone. If you're a hugger, continue to hug. okay? It's okay to hug somebody. If you get emotional, that's okay too. Emotions will help you get through what you need to get through every day. Remember prayer. Compassion is something that you need to use every day. Those that you're having to deal with, as it's already been described, some of them are going to be very hard to deal with. But let your compassion and your faith guide you in the way you deal with every individual. So we've talked about your character. Your character defines you, and your character and your values go hand in hand. Not everybody is going to agree with your values, and that's okay. I've come to the point in my life, I'm old. If you want to know what old looks like, here it is. I've gotten to the point in my life, I really don't care what anybody thinks of me. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not defined by what somebody else thinks of me. I'm defined by what I think of me, what the Lord thinks of me, and what my family thinks of me. It doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. As the chief has already said, the most important thing for you to do every day at the end of your shift is to go home to your family. Let's pray. Father, we come to you. We thank you for these young men and women. I thank you, Lord, that you have called them to this profession. You have and are continuing to prepare them for what is a very difficult job. I pray over them that you would be with them, that you would guide them and you would direct them and you would protect them and you would use them in your service as they serve this community, that they can and will make a difference to make this community better. Go before them. Make their path straight, we ask. And as it's already been said, at the end of their shift, every day, every shift, my prayer and the prayers of everybody in this room is that they would go home safely to their family. And we pray this in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Whitaker. He's been a longtime supporter of the LPD and has been a community servant for many, many years, as I think you may have heard before, as both a city council member and mayor of our city. And you are all lucky, speaking to the 8 of you, that you work in a community that overwhelmingly supports our law enforcement folks. And you also have a city council that supports us. You didn't hear a lot of the things coming from this community that you heard in a lot of other communities over the last year, and I am grateful for our council members, for our community, and for everyone else that has stood behind the LPD. We certainly have areas that we're going to continue to move forward and improve on, but we have a solid foundation here in Lynchburg, and I'm just proud to be a part of this organization. Prior to concluding this ceremony, I'd like to recognize staff and personnel from our staff from our personnel and recruiting unit. You've heard some of them mentioned, but if you can, kind of raise your hands in the back there, and you can look, they're all on the back wall, most of them, but Officer Alan Cottrell, Sergeant Titus Burgess, Lieutenant Matt Gillespie. As you also heard mentioned, some of these folks were hired, if not all of them, probably by Lieutenant Brian Smith, who was previously in the personnel and recruiting unit. And then upstairs, getting our reception prepared is Miss Tammy Blanchette. She's one of our professional staff in that unit, pretty much the one that provides adult supervision to the 3 of them in the back, just so you know, to make sure everything stays straight. But we appreciate all the work you have done to put this ceremony together and the reception afterwards. Another job well done, really. Police recruiting in today's environment is absolutely a challenging task. I remember Sergeant Burgess going over to the unit not too long ago and having a couple of conversations, and him just kind of looking at me with these big eyes like, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to keep pushing forward. That's what we're going to do, Sergeant. And we're going to make sure that we show these young men and women as examples of why you want to join the LPD. So I appreciate your resiliency in that unit. You've had a hard go of it these last year or so. I also want to thank you for your time and effort again for planning, organizing, and setting up today's event. As a reminder, this was streamed on Facebook, so if you guys want to go back and look at what you said and pick on each other for how you spoke when you got up at the thing, that's certainly fine, and certainly share with other family members, as I said. So again, thank you all for being here. We sincerely appreciate you taking part in this very special, special day. It is so nice to get together and talk about something positive. It seems like a lot of what we're dealing with in our society and our country right now is very negative, so it's nice to get together and see people smiling and sharing in a positive event. So we'll have a reception upstairs when you leave out the back. If you literally go straight across, there's either an elevator or a set of stairs. Go up one flight to the second floor, and as you get out of that either elevator or stairs, turn to your left, and it's immediately on your left there. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. And let's give one last hand to these officers. Thank you, and please join us for